Today, I'm going to be breaking down the World Cup from start to finish, every single stage in the simplest way possible. No unnecessary football talks, no assuming you know everything going in, just straight facts, laying them down clean and sweet. So when the World Cup starts, you actually know what's happening, you know why people are freaking out, and you can actually join in on the conversation. Let's get into it. The first thing you got to understand is that the World Cup is not just a random tournament, it's the tournament, the biggest sporting event in the world. Nothing else comes close. We're talking over 1 billion viewers for a single game, basically. And it only happens every 4 years, so when it comes around, everybody is locked in. Even people who don't watch football for the rest of the time, even your grandma knows something is going on. Starting in 2026, the World Cup is expanding. It used to be 32 teams, but now it's going to be 48 teams, which is 48 countries, all fighting for one trophy, representing every corner of the globe. Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, North America, everywhere, all in one tournament, competing for the same prize. And these 48 countries did not just show up, they had to earn their spot. Every country in the world goes through qualifying stages. These games happen over the course of 2 to 3 years before the actual tournament. Countries play each other within their own region, and only the top finishers from each region earn a spot in the World Cup. Europe gets the most spot because they have the most elite nations. South America is next, then you have Africa, then you have Asia. North and Central America gets spots, and on and on and on. So think of the qualifiers like a really intense college admission process. Everybody's applying for a limited number of seats, and some people just don't make the cut. No matter how big their name is, no matter how much history they have. An example is Italy. They didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup. They are one of the most decorated football nations in the entire world. They have multiple World Cup winners, and they have some of the iconic players in football history, but they still didn't qualify. That's a whole nation crisis over there. People were genuinely devastated, and even this year they still didn't qualify. The coach resigned and everything just went south, basically. So just getting to the World Cup is already a massive achievement. That is why you see teams and players and fans celebrating when they just qualify, because some countries spend decades or wait decades just to qualify for one. So yeah, 48 teams qualified and are ready. Now let's walk through every single stage. The group stage is the first part of the tournament. This is the opening round and is the most chaotic part of the whole entire tournament. Here's how it works. They take all 48 teams, split them into 12 groups, 4 teams per group, labeled A through L. Within your group, you play every team once, so it's 3 games each. And the point system works like this: win a game, 3 points; draw, meaning the game ends in a tie, 1 point for each team; lose, 0 points. At the end of the group stage, every team has played 3 games, and the standing in each group are locked in. Now here's what's different about the 2026 format. In the old format, only the top 2 teams from each group moved on, third place went home, simple as ABCD. But in the new one, or in the one that is going to be played this year, the top 2 are gonna go, but the third team might also be able to advance if they have good results. So basically what you're gonna do is that the first 2 of each group is gonna basically advance, and the 8 best third place teams are also gonna advance. So you could actually finish third in your group and still make it to the next round, as long as your results were better than the other teams that finished third. So 32 teams end up advancing to the knockout rounds. Now here's where it gets real interesting. The groups are not just randomly drawn, they are seeded, meaning the best teams in the world get separated into a different group, so you don't end up with Brazil and Argentina in the same group right away. But sometimes the draw still creates chaos, where 3 good teams land in the same group, and somebody elite has to go home early no matter what happens. They literally call it a group of death, and it happens almost every tournament. The 2022 World Cup had Group E, which had Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica all in the same group. Spain and Germany, both former World Cup winners, both elite programs, in the same group of 4. Germany ended up getting eliminated in the group stage. Germany, a 4-time World Cup winner, one of the most feared nations in football history, was eliminated in the group stage. That's the World Cup for you. Nobody is safe. So with the 32 teams left, this is where the official knockout round officially begins. You need to understand what knockout actually means, because this changes the entire energy of the tournament. In the group stage, if you lose a game, it's not the end of the world. You still have more games to play. You can recover, you can still advance. In the knockout rounds, you lose 1 game, you are done. You pack your bags, book your flight home. The tournament is over for you. No second chances, no redemption arc, you just go home. So the round of 32 is simple. 32 teams get paired into 16 matchups. 16 winners move on to the next round, and 16 teams go home immediately. Now here's a crucial part you need to know about the knockout games. In the group stage, if the game ends in a tie, that's fine. Both teams get their 1 point and move on. But in the knockout round, there has to be a winner always. So if the game is tied after 90 minutes, you go to extra time. Extra time is an additional 30 minutes of play split into two 15-minute halves. If somebody scores during the extra time, game over, they win. Everybody else goes home. If it's still tied after extra time, it goes into a penalty shootout. And this is genuinely one of the most stressful things in all of sports. And I'm not even exaggerating. Every team picks 5 players. They take turns going up one at a time. Just you and the goalkeeper. 12 yards between you and the goal. The whole stadium watching. Billions of people watching at home. Your entire country watching you. And you have one shot. Score or go home. Whoever scores the most goals in the 5 kicks basically wins. If it's still tied after the 5 kicks, you go to sudden death. One miss anywhere and your team is eliminated right there on the spot. Different countries have actual nerves breakdowns watching this in real time. Players who miss World Cup penalties have talked about carrying that moment for the rest of their life, and that's how serious this is. And then we come to the round of 16s. Same format, same room, same knockout energy. 16 teams, 8 matchups, 1 game each. Lose and you're done. By this point in the tournament, a lot of the weaker teams have already been eliminated and the field is getting serious, but you can still get massive upsets here. That's the thing about the World Cup. Any team that made it this far believes they can win it, and sometimes they actually do. In 2022, Morocco became the first African nation to ever reach the semi-finals. They knocked out Spain on penalties in the round of 16. Then they knocked out Portugal in the quarterfinals. The whole Africa continent was basically going crazy. Morocco fans were traveling from everywhere to be in Qatar. People were celebrating in the streets back home at 3 in the morning, and that is what the World Cup can do. The 16 teams become 8, and this is where things get elite level. 8 of the best teams left in the entire world, all competing for 4 spots in the semi-final. Same knockout format, 1 game, lose and you go home. At this stage, there is no such thing as an easy game. Every single matchup is appointment viewing. You could have Brazil versus France, Argentina versus England, games that would normally be once in a lifetime matchups just happen in the quarterfinals like it's a normal Tuesday. But that's the reality of the World Cup bracket. At some point, you could run into a world-class team no matter what part you took. There is no soft draws to the final. You have to be the best to be the best. Then the 8 teams become 4. 4 teams left on earth, all playing for the spot in the final. 2 semi-final games. 2 winners go to the World Cup final. 2 losers go to the 3rd place finish off. The 3rd place finish off honestly is just mid. It's basically a consolation game for 2 teams that are lost in the semis. The energy in the stadium is different. Everyone is just playing sadly, but they still have to do it. No one is actually checking on that game because no one actually cares about the 3rd place. But finishing 3rd place at the World Cup is still a historic achievement. Players know some of them may never get back to that stage to compete ever again. It's just not a game everyone is waiting for, honestly. Before we get into the final, I want to explain something that is hard to understand if you've never experienced the World Cup. The World Cup is not like other sport tournaments. When the NBA finals happen, you're watching players compete for their franchise. You're watching players compete for their teams in other sports. It's real. People care. The energy is there. But at the end of the day, it's a city versus another city. When the World Cup final happens, it's a country versus another country. Every single player on that pitch grew up in that nation. They represent every single person that looks like them, every city they came from, every family member who put them in a kit as a kid. When Morocco reached the semi-finals in 2022, it wasn't just football. It was an entire continent seeing itself differently. Africa had never sent a team to the Final Four before, not once in the entire history of the tournament, and Morocco got there. That's bigger than sports. That's identity. That's history happening live. That is why people cry watching this. That's why strangers hug each other in bars. That's why your coworker who never talks about sports is suddenly testing you at 2 a.m. Wait, oh, that's suspicious. Nah. The final game. 1 game, 2 countries, winner takes it all. The World Cup final is the most watched sporting event on the planet. Every 4 years, the whole world stops for this 1 game. The entire country shut down to watch this. People are in the streets, pubs and bars are absolutely packed everywhere on earth. People are crying, people are screaming, people are doing things they will talk about about for the rest of their lives. And if you score a goal in the World Cup final, you are immortal. If you lift that trophy, you're a national hero for life. No debate, no asterisk, forever. Let me just tell you about the 2022 final, because it's a perfect example of why people love this tournament so much. Argentina versus France. Messi had spent his entire career carrying this weight. Multiple Champions Leagues, La Liga titles year after year, Ballon d'Or awards after Ballon d'Or awards, the most decorated club career maybe ever, and still people said he wasn't the greatest of all time because he hadn't won a World Cup. Messi was winning 2 goals at halftime, looking completely in control. Then France woke up. Mbappe scored twice in 97 seconds to make it 2-2. 97 seconds, the game completely flipped. Extra time, Messi scores to make it 3-2. Then France equalized the game, making it 3-3, taking the game all the way to penalty kicks. That is what the World Cup final feels like. That is what you are watching when you tune in. Now let me run through all the stages one more time, clean and sweet, so you understand what's going on basically. Countries spend years competing in their regions to get their spot in the World Cup. Only 48 nations in the world make it to the World Cup. The group stage, 48 teams are split into 12 groups of 4. Each team plays 3 games within their groups. Top 2 from each group advances automatically, plus the 8 best third team plays from across all the groups. Then we have 32 teams left. The 32 teams are placed in a knockout stage. 16 games are played. If you lose 1 game, you go home. Ties go to extra time, then there's penalties if they are still level. Round of 16, same format. Field is getting elite now. Upsets still possible, but harder. Quarterfinals, 8 teams left. Every game is classic. No easy path for anybody. Semifinals, 4 teams left. 2 go to the final. 2 play for third place. The final 2 teams, 1 game, 1 champion, billions watching, and that is the World Cup, start to finish. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more videos like this. Till next time, adios.